Hannah said, "You're replaceable. Any vet could do your job," at 2 a.m. in our Colorado Springs living room, 8 weeks pregnant with another man's baby. I need to back up. Tell you how I got there. How a Bronze Star recipient, 28 years Army, 3 combat tours, ended up sitting in an empty house at 8 in the morning, locks changed, wife gone, holding a medal that suddenly felt like it weighed nothing at all. My name is David Michael Cross, Master Sergeant, retired. I survived Fallujah in 2006, survived Kandahar in 2009, survived Baghdad in 2011, came home with shrapnel in my leg, nightmares that wake me at 0300, and a Bronze Star for valor. I work at the VA hospital now, peer counselor. I help other vets navigate PTSD. I help them find reasons to keep fighting when the war follows them home. The night it all started, I was doing exactly that. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. October. Colorado Springs gets cold in October. You can smell winter coming in the air, that sharp pine scent mixed with early snow from the mountains. I was in my office at the VA, tiny room with gray walls and a desk that's seen better days. The Bronze Star sat in its blue velvet case on my desk, 6 inches by 4, the metal itself about 3 ounces of cold metal and memory. I touched it before difficult calls, ritual, like checking your rifle before patrol. My phone rang, crisis line. "This is David." The voice on the other end was shaking. Young guy, Marine, 2 tours. I won't tell you his name, privacy matters, but I'll tell you this. He had a gun. He was in his car. He was done. I talked to him for 93 minutes, used every tool I had, reminded him about his daughter. She was 4. Reminded him that suicide doesn't end pain. It passes it on. Reminded him that warriors protect people, and right now, the person who needed protecting was himself. At 1:20 a.m., he agreed to drive to the ER. I stayed on the phone until I heard him check in, heard the nurse's voice, heard him say, "I need help." I hung up, sat there in the dark, touched the Bronze Star case again. The velvet was dusty, soft under my fingers. The case clicked when I closed it. Satisfying sound. I'd earned that medal pulling 3 men out of a burning Humvee in Fallujah. Earned it by not quitting when quitting made sense. I saved a stranger's life that night at 11:47 p.m. By 1:45 a.m., I'd discover my own was already dead. I got home at 1:43 a.m. Our house, ranch style, 2,400 square feet. Neighborhood near Fort Carson, where everyone knows everyone's business. 38 homes on our street, good people, military families mostly. The kind of place where you leave your garage open and nobody steals anything. Hannah's car was in the driveway. Silver Honda Accord, 6 years old. I noticed the bumper was scratched, fresh damage, white paint transfer, like she'd backed into something. Or someone had hit her in a parking lot. I thought, I'll clean it tomorrow, surprise her, small kindnesses. That's what 26 years of marriage teaches you. You show love through oil changes and grocery runs and cleaning scratches off bumpers. I went inside. The house was dark. I walked through the living room. Hardwood floors, photos on the walls of Hannah and me, Hannah and our daughter Rachel. Wedding photo from 1999, the one in the walnut frame. Me at 23 in my dress greens, Hannah at 21 in a white dress from Target because we were broke. Both of us so young, so sure. I didn't wake her, shower could wait. I fell asleep in uniform on the couch, still smelling like the VA, coffee and industrial cleaner, and other people's desperation. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. Habit. 28 years in the Army, your body doesn't sleep past 6:30, even when you only got 4 hours. I made coffee. French roast. Hannah always kept the good stuff for me, the kind that comes in the silver bag. I drank it from a turquoise ceramic mug. Rachel made it when she was 7, hand-painted. Ichigo, one dad, in wobbly letters. There's a chip on the rim now, but I've never replaced it. I thought about that scratch on Hannah's bumper. Decided to clean it before she woke up. 6:30 on a Wednesday morning, October air cold enough to see your breath. And I'm in the garage with a bucket of soapy water and a microfiber cloth. This is what love looks like at 51. Not grand gestures, just washing your wife's car before she knows it needs washing. I opened the glove box, looking for the registration. Sometimes scratches mean insurance claims, and I wanted to check if she'd filed one already. 22 receipts fell out. Thermal paper, thin and waxy, rubber banded together. The band left grooves in the paper. You could feel the indentations with your thumb. Hampton Inn, room 342. Every Tuesday for 5 months. I sat in the garage, unfolded each one. They made this soft rustling sound, like dry leaves. $0 charged, which meant someone else was paying. Each receipt had a date. I laid them out on the garage floor in chronological order. May 14th, May 21st, May 28th, June 4th. Every single Tuesday. Her teacher development days. I didn't panic. Combat trains you not to panic. You assess. You gather intel. You don't react until you have full situational awareness. I pulled out my phone, called the Hampton Inn on Powers Boulevard, the one near the mall. Hampton Inn, this is Kelly. How can I help you? Hi, I need to verify a reservation. Room 342, registered under... I checked the receipt. There was a confirmation number. I read it. Let me check. Pause. Keyboard clicking. Yes, that room was registered to Richard Dalton, corporate account. Is there a problem? Richard Dalton. I didn't know that name. Not yet. No problem, thank you. I hung up, stood there in the garage. The bucket of soapy water was getting cold. I could see my breath. 22 Tuesdays, room 342. A man named Richard Dalton. I called the hotel. They confirmed. I didn't know that name yet. I would. I went inside, left the bucket in the garage. The scratch could wait. I didn't confront her. Not yet. You don't engage without full intel. That's how soldiers die. That's how wars are lost. I spent the next 6 hours gathering evidence. Started with our phone records. We had a family plan. I could access everything online. Hannah's call log for the past 6 months. I downloaded it, saved it. 2 phone numbers showed up repeatedly. One I recognized, her friend Jessica from the school district. The other, I didn't. I called it from a blocked number. This is Rick. I hung up. Rick, Richard Dalton, Rick. I sat at my desk in our home office. Small room, barely a closet, my laptop open, spreadsheet building, dates, times, phone calls. I'm methodical. That's what the Army teaches you. Document everything. My neighbor Trevor came over around noon. Marine, 29, did 2 tours. Lives 3 houses down. Good man. We borrow tools from each other. Fix each other's sprinkler systems. That kind of neighbor. Hey David, can I grab your socket wrench? Mine's stripped. Yeah, come on in. Garage. We walked out together. I was still in my head. Spreadsheets and phone logs and hotel receipts. Trevor was talking about something, his sprinkler timer maybe, but I wasn't tracking. He stopped at my toolbox. You okay, man? You look... I'm fine. You sure? You look like you did after Kandahar. That stare, you know? I didn't answer. Trevor opened the toolbox, started looking for the socket wrench. Then he stopped. His hand froze. David, what? There's a phone in here. I looked. Underneath the oil filter box, black Craftsman container, heavy cardboard, there was a phone. Cheap flip phone, black plastic. Track phone brand. That's not mine, I said. Trevor pulled it out. The phone smelled faintly of motor oil. He looked at me. You want me to... Yeah. He opened it. The phone made that distinctive flip phone snap, loud, mechanical. The screen glowed blue, text messages. 378 of them. Trevor's face went pale. He handed me the phone. Brother, I'm sorry. I took it. Scrolled, messages between H and Rick, May 10th. Can't stop thinking about yesterday. You make me feel alive. May 17th. Same time Tuesday, I need you. June 3rd. He's on another crisis call tonight. We have time. June 24th. I love you. I can't keep pretending. I stopped scrolling at message 114. That's when I learned his full name. Hannah wrote, Richard Preston Dalton, you're everything David isn't. I kept scrolling. Message 238. I think I'm falling in love with you. Message 378, dated last week. I'm 8 weeks. We need to talk. 8 weeks pregnant. I sat down on the garage floor, concrete cold through my jeans. Trevor sat next to me. Didn't say anything. Just sat there. That's what brothers do. After maybe 5 minutes, I said, I had a vasectomy 10 years ago. After Rachel was born, Hannah asked me to. Said 1 child was enough. Trevor put his hand on my shoulder. I'll go, he said. You need anything, you call me, day or night. Roger? Roger? He left. Took the socket wrench, but I don't think he needed it. Just gave me space. I sat there holding the phone. 378 messages. I read every single one. By message 1 to 14, I knew his name. By message 238, I knew she loved him. By message 378, I knew the baby wasn't mine. I'd had a vasectomy 10 years ago. I went back inside. The house was quiet. Hannah was at work, third grade teacher, Highland Elementary. She'd left at 7:15 a.m. like always. Left me a note on the counter. Forgot to tell you. Teacher development day today. Home late. Love you. Tuesday. Teacher development day. Room 342. I found the prenatal vitamins in our bathroom. Medicine cabinet, top shelf, behind the Tylenol. Orange CVS bottle. Prescription dated 8 weeks ago. Dr. Morrison's name on the label. White child-proof cap that clicked when you turned it. The pills inside rattled when I shook the bottle. You could hear them, like tiny warnings. They smelled faintly sweet when I opened it. 8 weeks ago, she knew she was pregnant. 8 weeks, and she didn't tell me. Because she knew it wasn't mine. I stood in the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror, 51 years old, gray in my beard, scar on my left temple from Fallujah. Shrapnel took 6 stitches, crow's feet from squinting in desert sun. I looked tired, I looked old, I looked replaceable. I called in sick to the VA, first time in 3 years. Pat Morrison, my supervisor, runs the peer counseling program, said, "David, you never call in sick. You okay?" "I'm fine, Pat. Just need a day." "You need to talk." "I'm fine." I wasn't fine. I spent the afternoon researching Richard Preston Dalton, civilian IT contractor at Fort Carson. Found his LinkedIn. 35 years old, divorced, no kids listed. Profile picture showed him in business casual, that practice smile contractors have. Nothing remarkable, just a guy. Just the guy my wife loved more than me. At 2 p.m., I heard her car in the driveway. I'd spent 6 hours preparing. Evidence organized, phone logs printed, hotel receipts in a folder, burner phone charged, prenatal vitamin bottle on the coffee table. I was ready. This was the confrontation I'd trained for. Not with rifles and rules of engagement, but with receipts and text messages and the quiet death of a marriage. Hannah came through the door, smiled when she saw me. "Hey babe, you're home early. We need to talk." The smile died. She saw the folder on the coffee table, saw the burner phone, saw the prenatal vitamins. "David, sit down." She sat. I stayed standing. Old interrogation technique, height advantage, control the space. "How long?" I asked. "I don't know what." "Don't." My voice was flat. Combat voice, no emotion. "I have the phone. I have the receipts. I have 378 text messages. How long?" Her hands were shaking. She twisted her wedding ring. Platinum band, 6mm brushed finish. I gave it to her in 1999. Inside, it's engraved, Covenant Keeper, Malachi 2:16. 6 months, she whispered. His name. Richard, Rick, he's it contractor, Fort Carson, 35, divorced. I know who he is, Hannah. I know when you met him. I know you've been sleeping with him every Tuesday for 5 months. I know you're 8 weeks pregnant. She started crying. "David, please. I had a vasectomy 10 years ago. You asked me to get it, remember? You said 1 child was enough. You made me get that surgery." She went pale. "So that baby—" I pointed at the prenatal vitamins. "That baby isn't mine, and you knew that 8 weeks ago when you got this prescription. You knew, and you didn't tell me." "I didn't know how—" "The hotel receipts fell out of your glove box this morning. I was cleaning the scratch on your bumper. Surprise gesture. Thought I'd be a good husband." She flinched. "I called the hotel. Room 342, registered to Richard Dalton, corporate account. You've been there 22 times, every Tuesday. Your teacher development days." "David, I'm sorry, The front door opened. Rick Dalton walked in. Just walked into my house like he owned it, like he had the right. "Hannah, you okay?" I saw his truck. He stopped when he saw me. 6 feet tall, athletic build, wearing khakis and a polo shirt, civilian casual. I looked at him, looked at my wife, back to him. "Get out of my house." Rick held up his hands. "Look, man, we should talk about this." "Get out." "David, be reasonable." "I'm a combat veteran with PTSD. And you just walked into my home uninvited. I'm being extremely reasonable by using words. Leave, now. Hannah stood up, put her hand on Rick's arm, protecting him. From me. That's when Rick said it. Look, I get it. You're upset, but you're broken anyway, man. All that war stuff, the nightmares, the pills. She deserves better. The room went silent. Then Hannah, my wife, mother of my child, woman I'd loved for 26 years, looked at me and said, "You're replaceable, David. Any vet could do your job at the VA. Rick and I, we're building something real." Replaceable. That word. My drill sergeant used it for quitters, for soldiers who couldn't hack it, for people who gave up. I picked up the wedding photo from the mantle. 8 by 10 inches, walnut frame, heavy, about 2 pounds. We were so young in that photo, 23 and 21. Me in dress greens, her in white, both smiling like we knew something the world didn't. I held it. Looked at young Hannah. We were so young. She slapped it out of my hands. The frame hit the hardwood floor. The glass shattered. Not an explosion, a clean crack, shards everywhere. The photo landed face up, surrounded by broken glass. I knelt down, started picking up pieces. Cut my palm on a shard, sharp pain, then blood. Bright red, fresh. It dropped onto the photo, onto young Hannah's white dress. 3 drops. I watched them spread into the paper. I bled for this country, I said quietly. I bled in Fallujah. I bled in Kandahar. I bled for you. I looked up at her. I'm done bleeding. Rick took a step back. Hannah just stared. I stood up. My palm was still bleeding. I wrapped it in my shirt. Get out, I said. Both of you, now. Rick left fast. Hannah hesitated. Where am I supposed to? Figure it out. You've been planning this for 6 months. You'll manage. She grabbed her purse, stopped at the door. David, out. She left. I locked the door behind her, stood there in the living room, blood seeping through my shirt, broken glass on the floor, wedding photo staring up at me, ruined. I pulled out my deployment journal, brown leather, 300 pages, water-stained from Iraq. I kept it on the bookshelf, hadn't opened it in years. The binding cracked when I opened it, pages crinkled, some were stuck together with sand that got in everything over there. I found March 15, 2006, day 347, Iraq. I read it aloud, to the empty room. Mortar attack at 0300, 3 wounded, 1 dead. I wrote Hannah's name on my body armor this morning. If I die today, I want her name close to my heart. Got her letter. She says Rachel learned to ride a bike. I'm missing everything. But I'm fighting, so Rachel grows up safe. Hannah keeps me alive. I love her more than breath. I closed the journal. I wrote your name on my armor, I whispered. You called me replaceable. Replaceable. The same word my drill sergeant used for anyone who quit. I survived Fallujah. I would not survive this by being replaceable. I sat down, pulled out my phone. It was 8:47 p.m. I called Colonel Benjamin Torres, my old commanding officer, mentor. He'd retired 2 years ago, lived in Colorado Springs, taught ROTC at the university. He answered on the second ring. David, it's late. You okay? I need a lawyer, sir. Military family law. Tonight. Pause. What happened? Hannah's having an affair. She's pregnant. It's not mine. I had a vasectomy 10 years ago. She's been using hotel rooms every Tuesday for 5 months. I need to file for divorce. I need her out of the house. I need this done fast and clean. Another pause. Longer. Jesus, David, I'm sorry. I don't need sorry, sir. I need a lawyer. I know someone. Gregory Hartfield. Handles high net worth military divorces. I'll call him now. He does emergency filings. Thank you, sir. David, you need anything else? Just the lawyer. I hung up. At 10:15 p.m., Gregory Hartfield called me back. We talked for 30 minutes. I gave him everything. Hotel receipts, phone logs, text messages, medical records showing my vasectomy, prenatal vitamins with her name. You have grounds for immediate eviction, he said. The house is VA loan, purchased before marriage, solely in your name. Colorado is a no-fault state, but adultery affects alimony and property division. I can file emergency divorce petition tonight and have eviction papers ready by midnight. Do it. At 11:58 p.m., I drove to his office downtown, signed papers, divorce petition, eviction notice, financial disclosures. At 2:15 a.m., I knocked on Rick Dalton's apartment door. I'd found his address on LinkedIn, small complex near Fort Carson. Second floor. He opened the door, saw me. His face went white. I handed him the eviction papers. These are for Hannah. She's got until 8 a.m. to remove her personal effects from my house. After that, I'm changing the locks. If she's not out, Colorado Springs PD will escort her out. Tell her, man, you can't just... I already did. VA loan, my house, my name. She has no legal claim. These papers are courtesy. I could have had cops remove her tonight. I walked away, heard him close the door. At 6:02 a.m., a locksmith met me at my house. Young guy, maybe 25. He changed every lock. Front door, back door, garage. The new keys made this satisfying click when they turned. Sharp. Final. At 7:45 a.m., Hannah showed up with Rick. 2 Colorado Springs PD officers were already there. I'd called them at 7:30 a.m., explained the situation, showed them the eviction order. They were professionals about it. Officer Ramirez, older guy, probably close to retirement, said to Hannah, "Ma'am, you have until 8 a.m. to collect personal belongings. Clothing, toiletries, essential items only. Furniture and shared property will be handled through divorce proceedings." Hannah looked at me. "David, please, can we talk about this?" I didn't answer, just stood there, arms crossed. The Bronze Star was in my pocket. I'd grabbed it before the locksmith came, touched it through the fabric. 3 ounces of cold metal. Ritual? She went inside, started packing. Rick helped. I watched from the driveway. At 8:07 a.m., they were done. 2 suitcases, a box of books, her laptop. She loaded everything into Rick's car. She stopped before getting in, looked at me one more time. "I never meant to hurt you." I pulled out the deployment journal, held it up. March 15th, 2006. Mortar attack. I wrote your name on my body armor because I wanted you close to my heart if I died. You were my reason to survive. She started crying. I survived Fallujah for you. Came home broken but alive. Spent 26 years trying to be the husband you deserved. I put the journal back in my pocket. You called me replaceable, but you were wrong about one thing. What? Warriors don't quit. We adapt. We overcome. We survive. She got in Rick's car. They drove away. Officer Ramirez came over. "You okay, Sergeant?" "I will be." They left. I went inside. The house was so quiet. No Hannah, no Rick, just me and the silence. I sat in the living room, broken glass still on the floor from the wedding photo. Blood drops dried brown on the picture. I picked it up carefully, looked at our young faces. Then I walked to my office, put the ruined photo in a drawer, pulled out the Bronze Star case, opened it. The metal sat there in blue velvet, cold and heavy and earned. I'd earned it saving 3 men in Fallujah. Earned it by not quitting when everything was on fire. By 8:07 a.m., she was gone. The house was silent. I sat there holding my Bronze Star medal. I had earned it for valor under fire. I didn't feel valorous. I felt empty. I needed to tell Rachel before someone else did. Military communities are small. Fort Carson, Peterson Space Force Base, everyone knows everyone. Word spreads faster than wildfire in dry pine. I had maybe 48 hours before this became base gossip, before my daughter heard about her mother's affair from someone who wasn't me. I drove to Peterson Space Force Base the next morning. Thursday. Rachel lived off base in a small apartment complex near the flight line. She was a second lieutenant, pilot training, 23 years old, and everything I'd hoped she'd become. Smart, disciplined, honorable. I called ahead. "Rachel, you got an hour? I need to talk." "Dad? Yeah, of course. You okay? You sound... I'll be there in 20. I parked outside her building. Brick complex, 3 stories, built in the 80s. Military housing adjacent. I could hear jets in the distance, training runs, that deep roar that rattles your chest. Rachel opened the door before I knocked. She was in her flight suit. Sage green, name tape on the chest, cross. Hair pulled back tight. She looked so much like Hannah at that age it hurt. But she had my eyes, dark brown, steady. "Dad, what's wrong?" I walked in. Her apartment was military sparse. Couch from IKEA. Coffee table covered in flight manuals. Photos on the wall, her commissioning ceremony, me pinning her bars. Both of us in uniform, saluting. Another photo, her at 6 years old, sitting on my shoulders at some construction site, both wearing hard hats. She kept that one. Sit down, sweetheart. She sat. I stayed standing, couldn't sit, too much energy. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo I'd taken of the hotel receipts, handed it to her. Your mother's been having an affair, 6 months. IT contractor named Rick Dalton. They've been meeting at Hampton Inn every Tuesday, 22 times. Rachel stared at the photo, scrolled through. I'd photographed all 22 receipts. No, Mom wouldn't. I handed her the prenatal vitamin bottle, the actual bottle. I'd brought it. She's 8 weeks pregnant. I had a vasectomy 10 years ago. She asked me to get it after you were born, said one child was enough. Rachel's hands started shaking. The pill bottle rattled. I have 378 text messages between her and Rick. I have phone logs. I have a timeline. Tuesday, May 14th, first hotel visit. Every Tuesday after that. Her teacher development days. Dad, this is Mom. She wouldn't. She did. My voice cracked. First time. I confronted her Wednesday. She admitted it. Rick came to the house. He told me I was broken from the war, PTSD, the nightmares, that she deserved better. Then your mother looked at me and said I was replaceable. Rachel stood up. The flight suit made her look older, authoritative. But her face was my little girl's. Where is she? I evicted her, changed the locks, filed for divorce at 2 a.m. Wednesday night. She's with Rick now. Rachel walked to the window, stood there looking out at the parking lot, jets overhead, that constant noise. Then she turned around, came to attention, and saluted me. Not as daughter to father, as one officer acknowledging another's courage under fire. I returned the salute. Military precision. Then she broke. Just collapsed into me. I held her while she sobbed against my shoulder. 23 years old, Air Force officer, combat training. None of that matters when your mother destroys your family. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. You didn't do anything wrong. Her voice was muffled against my shirt. You didn't do this. We stood there for maybe 10 minutes. Her roommate, another pilot, came out of her bedroom, saw us, quietly left. Good instincts. Finally, Rachel pulled back, wiped her eyes. What do you need from me? Nothing. Just wanted you to hear it from me first. She looked at the prenatal vitamin bottle on the coffee table. She's really pregnant? Yeah. And it's his? Yeah. She nodded. Once. Sharp. Military acknowledgement of intel received. Then she picked up her keys. I'm going to talk to her. Rachel, she doesn't get to do this without facing me. She left. I sat in her apartment, looked at the photos on the wall, our family, or what used to be our family. She saluted me, not as daughter to father, as one officer acknowledging another. Then she broke down. Rachel found Hannah at Highland Elementary during lunch break. I know because the principal called me that afternoon. Mr. Cross, this is Margaret Kowalski, Highland Elementary. I'm calling about an incident today. Is Rachel okay? She's fine, but she confronted Mrs. Cross in the hallway. In uniform, there was shouting. Several teachers witnessed it. I wanted you to know. What happened? Long pause. Your daughter asked Mrs. Cross how she could do this to you. Asked about Rick Dalton. Mrs. Cross became defensive, said it wasn't Rachel's business. Rachel said something about honor and military families, and Mr. Cross, I need to tell you something. What? I've seen Rick Dalton in Hannah's classroom, late nights, past when contractors should be there, multiple times over the past few months. I should have reported it. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Another witness, another person who saw and said nothing. Thank you for calling. Mr. Cross, your daughter is a credit to you. The way she stood up for you, that takes courage. I hung up. That night, Colonel Torres called. David, I have Rick Dalton's military record. You need to see this. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Small place, mostly empty. Torres slid a folder across the table. Official military documents, DD-2 Warstein discharge papers. Richard Preston Dalton, enlisted 2003, failed boot camp, recycled twice, finally discharged for insubordination and theft, dishonorable discharge. I opened the folder, read the forms. Torres was right. Dishonorable discharge, the worst kind. Follows you forever. There's more. Torres said. I made some calls, reached out to Jag, some COs I know. David, Rick has a pattern. He targets military wives, always officers' wives, always during deployment or recovery. He's done this 5 times in the past 10 years. I looked up. 5? Police reports from 2 harassment complaints. 2018, Fort Hood. 2021, Fort Bragg. Both times officers came home from deployment, found their wives involved with Rick. Both times Rick had convinced the wives their husbands were broken from combat. Both times the wives left their husbands. Torres pulled out more papers, police reports, harassment complaints. He doesn't love your wife, David. He hates you, hates the Bronze Star you earned, hates the uniform he couldn't wear. This is revenge for the life he couldn't have. Hannah, she's just collateral damage in his war against men who succeeded where he failed. I sat there, coffee getting cold, staring at discharge papers for a man who'd made destroying military families his hobby. The other wives, what happened to them? Divorce is finalized. Both remarried Rick. Both marriages lasted less than 2 years. He moves on when the thrill's gone, when there's no more officer to humiliate. Rick didn't love my wife. He hated me. Hannah was just collateral damage in his war against men who succeeded where he failed. 2 weeks later, we had court-ordered mediation. Standard procedure in Colorado divorce cases. Judge assigns a mediator, both parties meet, try to reach settlement before trial. The mediator was a retired judge named Patricia Fleming. Gray hair, sharp eyes, probably mid-60s. She'd seen everything. We met in a conference room downtown, beige walls, long table, Hannah and her lawyer on one side, me and Gregory Hartfield on the other. Hannah looked different, thinner, dark circles under her eyes. She was showing now, 12 weeks pregnant, small bump visible under her sweater. Her lawyer opened strong. Mrs. Cross is seeking primary residence, spousal support, and division of retirement benefits. She contends that Mr. Cross's PTSD and emotional unavailability created an intolerable home environment. Stop. I looked at the mediator. May I respond? Fleming nodded. Go ahead, Mr. Cross. I pulled out my deployment journal, the brown leather one, 300 pages of Iraq. Mrs. Cross's attorney claims I was emotionally unavailable due to PTSD. I'd like to read something. Hannah's lawyer started to object. Fleming raised her hand. I'll allow it. I opened the journal, found the page, March 15, 2006. Day 347, Iraq, mortar attack at U-300, 3 wounded, 1 KIA. I wrote Hannah's name on my body armor this morning with a Sharpie. If I die today, I want her name close to my heart. My voice caught, steadied. Got her letter? She says Rachel learned to ride a bike. I'm missing everything, but I'm fighting so Rachel grows up safe. So Hannah never has to worry about insurgents or mortars or seeing her husband come home in a box. Hannah keeps me alive out here. Every letter, every photo, I love her more than breath. The room was silent. I closed the journal, looked at Hannah across the table. I wrote your name on my armor, carried you into combat, survived because you were waiting. Hannah was crying, silent tears. And last June, while I was recovering from surgery, shrapnel removal from that same deployment, you texted Rick Dalton and called me a war damage burden. Her lawyer's face went pale. How do you... Burner phone. Your client was careless. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots, slid it to the mediator. Fleming read. Her jaw tightened. Mrs. Cross, Fleming said quietly, is it true you referred to your husband as a war damage burden while he was recovering from combat injuries? Hannah didn't answer. Is it true this message was sent 2 days before his Bronze Star ceremony at Fort Carson? Still nothing. Fleming closed her notepad. I'm recommending the court find in Mr. Cross's favor on all contested issues. Mrs. Cross forfeits claim to marital residence, retirement benefits, and spousal support due to adultery. Colorado Revised Statute 14-10-113. Allows consideration of marital misconduct in property division. This is egregious misconduct. Hannah's lawyer tried to object. Fleming cut him off. We're done here. If you were David, would you have read that journal aloud in court, exposed your most private combat memories to win a legal battle? Type re-aid if you would have used the truth as evidence. Type private if some things should stay sacred, even when they'd help your case. What would you do? There's no right answer. I chose truth, but I paid for it in other ways. Sometimes evidence costs us privacy. Sometimes silence costs us justice. That night, Rachel came over. She had a folder with her, sat at my kitchen table. I need to see the messages, Dad. Rachel, all of them. I need to know. I'd been protecting her, gave her the timeline, the basic facts, but not the details, not the cruelty. You sure? I'm an officer. I can handle intel. I gave her the burner phone, sat beside her while she read. She started with May, the early messages, flirting, excitement. Can't stop thinking about you. June, more intense. I love you. You're everything he's not. July, planning. Tuesday, usual place. He's on another crisis call tonight. Then she got to the message from June 24th, 2024, during my surgery recovery. She read it aloud, her voice steady at first. He's so pathetic now. Limps around, pops pills for pain, has nightmares every night. I gave up my life for a war-damaged burden. Rick, you make me feel alive again. Like I'm 25, not 48. David's broken. You're whole. Rachel's voice cracked on war-damaged burden. She looked at me. When was your surgery? June 22nd. Leg shrapnel. They'd been trying to remove it for years. Finally got it out. And she wrote this 2 days later, while I was in post-op recovery. Rachel kept scrolling. Dad, what's June 26th? My Bronze Star ceremony. Fort Carson. 500 people. You were there. I remember. She looked at the message again. She wrote this 2 days before your ceremony, called you broken, called you a burden, then stood next to you while they honored you for saving lives. She put the phone down, carefully, like it might explode. I'm done with her. Rachel, she's your mother. She stopped being my mother when she called you a burden for surviving war. Rachel stood up. I'm testifying at the divorce hearing, character witness, for you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You earned that Bronze Star saving 3 men in Fallujah. She earned nothing but my contempt. She read it aloud. Her voice cracked on war-damaged burden. She looked at me. Her father, Master Sergeant, Bronze Star recipient. We cried together, but that wasn't rock bottom. Rock bottom came 6 days later. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. PTSD gets worse under stress. Nightmares every night now. Mortar attacks, Fallujah, the Humvee burning, my squad screaming. I went to the garage. Don't know why, just needed to move. Do something with my hands. My M9 pistol was in the safe. Service weapon. I'd kept it after retirement. Sometimes I took it to the range. Muscle memory, training. I took it out. Sat on the garage floor. Concrete cold through my jeans. October in Colorado. You could see your breath in the garage. I loaded the magazine. 15 rounds, chambered 1. Took the safety off. The gun was cold, heavy, familiar. I set it on the workbench. Sat there staring at it. My deployment journal was out here too. I'd brought it to the garage after mediation. Couldn't look at it anymore. It sat open to that same page. March 15, 2006. I'm fighting to get home to Hannah. I'd survived 3 tours. Fallujah, Kandahar, Baghdad, mortar attacks, IEDs, firefights. Came home with shrapnel and nightmares and a Bronze Star. Survived all that. For what? To sit in my garage at 2 a.m. with a loaded gun because my wife called me a war-damaged burden? I thought about my squad. The guys who didn't make it home, Martinez, Chen, Johnson, good men. Dead at 22, 24, 26. Why did I survive? Why did I get to come home when they didn't? To end up here? The Bronze Star case sat on the workbench beside the gun. I'd brought it out here too. Opened it. The metal stared at me. Blue ribbon, Bronze Star. For valor, I picked up the pistol. Cold metal. My hand was steady. Training, the safety was off. My phone rang. VA crisis line. I'd set it as a special ringtone, different from everything else, so I'd always answer. Even at 2 a.m. in my garage with a gun in my hand. I almost didn't answer, then I did. This is David. David, it's Pat Morrison, my supervisor, peer counseling program. I'm on crisis duty tonight, calling to check on you. I'm fine, Pat. David, I've worked with vets for 20 years. I know what fine sounds like. That's not it. Where are you? Garage. Long pause. You alone? Yeah. You have your service weapon? Longer pause. Yeah. Is it loaded? Yeah. David, I need you to put the safety on right now. Can you do that for me? My hand was shaking now. First time. 28 years military, hands always steady. But now, David, safety on. Do it now. I clicked the safety, that small mechanical sound. Final. It's on. Good. Now set the gun down. Put it on the workbench. Away from you. I set it down, next to the Bronze Star. Talk to me, David. What's happening? I survived war, Pat. 3 tours, saved lives, earned a Bronze Star, came home, did everything right, and my wife... My voice broke. She called me war-damaged, a burden, while I was recovering from surgery, 2 days before they honored me for valor. I know. Colonel Torres told me. David, listen to me. Are you listening? Yeah. You survived Fallujah. You survived Kandahar. You survived Baghdad. You know what didn't kill you out there? What? Insurgents, mortars, IEDs. You know why? Because you're a survivor. You're a fighter. You don't quit. Her voice hardened. Steel. Don't let a cheating wife finish what insurgents couldn't. You hear me? Don't give her that power. I heard a car in the driveway. Headlights through the garage window. Did you call Rachel? Damn right I did. She's military. She'll understand. Let her in, David. The garage door opened. Rachel stood there in sweatpants and Air Force t-shirt, hair down. She'd driven 20 minutes at 2:30 a.m. She saw the gun on the workbench, saw me on the floor, saw the journal, the Bronze Star. She didn't say anything, just walked over, sat down next to me on the cold concrete, put her arms around me. I heard Pat's voice on the phone. I'm staying on until you're okay. Take your time. Rachel held me, I held her. We sat there in the garage while I cried. Really cried. First time since Iraq. I got you, Dad, Rachel whispered. I got you. You're not alone, you're not broken, and you're not a burden. We sat there for 90 minutes. Pat stayed on the phone the whole time, talking when I needed to hear a voice, silent when I needed quiet. At 4:06 a.m., Rachel said, "Let me have the gun." I handed it to her. She unloaded it, ejected the magazine, cleared the chamber, military precision, put it back in the safe, locked it. "You're staying at my place tonight," she said. "No arguments?" I nodded, Pat's voice. "David, you there?" "Yeah." "You made the right call, answering the phone. That took courage, more courage than Fallujah." "Thanks, Pat. I'm putting you on my calendar, therapy, tomorrow, 1 p.m. You're going to talk to Dr. Klein. This is non-negotiable." "Roger." I heard Rachel's car in the driveway. I put the safety back on. That's what fathers do. Rachel drove me to her apartment. I slept on her couch, dreamless sleep. First time in weeks. When I woke up at 0700, she was already up, in uniform. She'd made coffee, French roast, my favorite. "You okay?" she asked. "Getting there." "Good." She handed me the coffee. "Because we have a fight ahead. Legal stuff, divorce, and I need you here for it. Need you to see this through." "I will." "And Dad?" She looked at me, her eyes, my eyes. "You survived war so you could teach me how to survive, how to stand up, how to be honorable. That's why you made it home, not for her, for me. And I need you to remember that." I drank the coffee. It was good, strong, exactly right. "I will," I said again, and I meant it. The divorce hearing was scheduled for January 12th, 91 days after I filed. Colorado law, minimum waiting period. I spent those 91 days in therapy with Dr. Sarah Klein at the VA, twice a week. Sometimes 3 times when the nightmares got bad. We worked through the PTSD, but also the betrayal, the feeling that I'd survived war only to be destroyed at home. "You're grieving," Dr. Klein said during one session. "Not just the marriage, the version of Hannah you thought existed. That's a kind of death too." She was right. Rachel came to most of my sessions, sat in the waiting room, drove me home after the rough ones. That's what she did now, showed up, every single time. On January 12th, we walked into El Paso County Courthouse together, Rachel in her dress blues, me in a suit, gray, conservative. Gregory Hartfield met us outside the courtroom. Hannah's attorney filed a last-minute motion, he said, claiming your PTSD makes you unfit. They're trying to argue diminished capacity, that you can't be trusted with financial decisions. On what grounds? The suicide crisis. Pat Morrison documented it per protocol. They subpoenaed VA records. I looked at Rachel. She was furious. They're using your breakdown against you? It's legal strategy, Hartfield said. Ugly but legal, don't worry, we have counter-evidence. We walked in. Hannah was already there, with Rick. He sat behind her in the gallery. Moral support, I guess. He wouldn't look at me. Judge Maria Martinez presiding. Latina woman, mid-50s, former military attorney herself. She had a reputation, fair but no nonsense. Hannah's attorney opened. Your Honor, we're requesting reconsideration of property division. Mr. Cross experienced a mental health crisis in October, documented by VA records. He was found with a loaded weapon, suicidal ideation, requiring emergency intervention. Judge Martinez held up her hand. Counselor, are you arguing Mr. Cross is currently a danger to himself or others? We're arguing his judgment may be impaired. That's not what I asked. Is he currently a danger? Pause. No, Your Honor, but then his mental health crisis is irrelevant to this proceeding. Mr. Cross is a decorated combat veteran receiving appropriate treatment. PTSD is not grounds to invalidate a divorce petition or property settlement. Continue. Hannah's lawyer tried a different approach. Mrs. Cross contends the adultery was the result of emotional neglect. Stop. Judge Martinez looked at her notes. I've read the mediation report. I've seen the evidence. Text messages referring to Mr. Cross as a war damage burden. Hotel receipts spanning 6 months. A pregnancy that DNA testing confirms is not Mr. Cross's child. Do you have any evidence that Mr. Cross was abusive, neglectful, or failed in his marital duties beyond his wife's unsupported claims? Your Honor, any evidence? No, Your Honor. Martinez turned to Hannah. Mrs. Cross, stand up. Hannah stood, 12 weeks pregnant now, showing more. Mrs. Cross, your husband served 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He earned a Bronze Star for valor. He came home with PTSD and physical injuries sustained defending this country. While he recovered from surgery to remove combat shrapnel, you texted your lover and called him a war damage burden. Is that correct? Hannah's voice was barely audible. Yes. This was 2 days before his Bronze Star ceremony at Fort Carson, a ceremony you attended. You stood beside him while he was honored for saving lives, correct? Yes. And during your marriage, while Mr. Cross worked as a VA peer counselor, helping other veterans with PTSD, you were engaged in a 6-month affair, meeting your lover every Tuesday at a hotel, using teacher development days as cover, correct? Yes. Judge Martinez leaned back. I've been a judge for 11 years. I was a JAG officer for 15 years before that. I've seen a lot of divorce cases. This one is straightforward. She looked at Hannah. Ma'am, your husband served 3 combat tours. You served him divorce papers written in betrayal. The evidence is overwhelming. Adultery, deception, cruelty. She turned to me. Mr. Cross, Colorado is a no-fault state, but marital misconduct affects property division under CRS 14-10-113. The court finds in your favor on all contested issues. She read from her notes. 1. Mrs. Cross forfeits all claim to marital residence. The house remains solely Mr. Cross's property. 2. Mrs. Cross forfeits claim to Mr. Cross's military retirement benefits and VA disability compensation. 3. No spousal support awarded. Adultery constitutes economic misconduct. 4. Mr. Cross is awarded sole possession of all jointly titled vehicles and bank accounts, minus Mrs. Cross's teacher pension, which remains hers. 5. Divorce is granted effective immediately. Marriage dissolved. The gavel fell. It was over. The gavel fell. It was over. Hannah's lawyer requested a recess. We reconvened 30 minutes later. Your Honor, Hartfield said, we have one additional matter. Harassment charges against Richard Preston Dalton. Rick sat up straight in the gallery. Hartfield presented evidence. The voice messages Rick left on my phone. Threatening messages. 3 of them, dated late October. Judge Martinez listened to them, Rick's voice angry. You can't just throw her out like trash, man. I'm coming over there. Another message. You think you're tough because you went to war. I'll show you. A third. This isn't over. Martinez looked at Rick. Mr. Dalton, stand up. He stood. 6 feet tall, but he looked smaller now. You're not a party to this divorce, Mr. Dalton. You're a civilian contractor with a dishonorable discharge from the military. Yes, I've seen your DD 214. You left 3 threatening voice messages for Mr. Cross, a decorated combat veteran. I'm granting a restraining order. 500 yards minimum distance. No contact. Violation results in arrest. She turned to the bailiff. Also, notify Fort Carson Security. Mr. Dalton is banned from base property effective immediately. Rick's face went red. Your Honor, I work there. Not anymore. You're fired. Your contract specified no criminal record, no restraining orders. You violated both. Dismissed. Security escorted Rick out. He looked at Hannah once. She looked away. After the hearing, Rachel and I stood outside the courthouse. January in Colorado. Snow on the ground, sun bright. It's done, I said. Almost. Rachel pulled out her phone. There's something else you need to see. She'd accessed the burner phone forensic extraction. Full analysis, timestamps, metadata, everything. She found a specific message thread. June 2024. Rick to Hannah. Your daughter seems sweet. Little boring, though. Does she always talk about planes? Hannah's response. She's obsessed with the Air Force. Takes after her father that way. Very earnest, very military. Rick. Think she'd introduce me to her dad? I need funding for my startup, tech company. I heard he's loaded from real estate investments. Hannah. He doesn't invest in startups, but I'll introduce you at the barbecue. Play it cool. Rick. Your daughter is just ATM access until I can convince your husband to fund my venture. Then I'm out. Hannah. LOL, just play along. She won't notice. Rachel read it twice, then looked at me. This was 3 weeks before she introduced Rick to me. 3 weeks before I brought him to our family barbecue. Before I started dating him. Before he proposed. Rachel, Mom knew. She knew he was using me to get to you, to get money, and she helped him. She put the phone away. I'm testifying, character witness. I already told Hartfield. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Her voice was steel, Air Force officer voice. She needs to know that her choices have consequences, that I'm not collateral damage. I'm a witness. 2 days later, Rachel testified. Not for the divorce, that was finalized, but for the record. Character witness deposition. Gregory Hartfield asked the questions. Lieutenant Cross, how would you describe your father's character? Rachel sat straight. Uniform, perfect. My father is the most honorable man I know. He served 3 combat tours, earned a Bronze Star saving lives, came home and continued serving, helping veterans at the VA. He taught me what honor means, what loyalty means, what sacrifice looks like. And your mother? Long pause. My mother taught me what those things don't look like. Can you elaborate? She had an affair with a man who called my father war-damaged. She knew this man was using me to access my father's money. She helped him. She's carrying his child. And when confronted, she called my father replaceable. Rachel's voice didn't waver. The only replaceable person in this family was her. My father is irreplaceable. To me, to the veterans he helps, to the men whose lives he saved. The court reporter typed. Rachel continued. When my father was at his lowest point, suicidal, in crisis, I was called to help. I held him while he cried. My mother wasn't there. She was with Rick. That tells you everything about character. After the deposition, Rachel and I walked to my truck. She was quiet. You okay? I asked. Yeah. She looked at me. I meant what I said. You're irreplaceable, Dad. She testified at the divorce proceedings, character witness, for her father, against her mother. She saluted me from the stand. 6 months later, Hannah and Rick moved to Denver. Baby was born March 21st, 2026, spring equinox. Healthy girl, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Hannah posted it on Facebook. I saw it through mutual friends. I didn't reach out. That chapter was closed. Trevor kept me updated. He monitored social media, couldn't help himself. Rick's gambling debts caught up with him. Casinos sued, wage garnishment. He also had an ex-wife, kid in Arizona. Child support arrears, $43,000. That came out in the divorce. Hannah had to go back to work 6 weeks after giving birth. Rick lost his IT contract. Turns out getting banned from Fort Carson and having a restraining order makes you unemployable in military contracting. They moved to a smaller apartment, then smaller. Trevor showed me a post from Hannah's Facebook. August 2026, photo of her and the baby. Caption, "Sometimes the dream you chase becomes a nightmare you can't wake from." I didn't feel satisfaction, just sadness. For the baby, for Hannah, even for Rick, a little. They'd built something on lies. It crumbled like lies always do. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding. Dr. Klein and I met weekly, worked through the PTSD, the betrayal trauma, the survivor's guilt. She helped me understand something important. I didn't survive war for Hannah. I survived war because that's what warriors do. Hannah was just the story I told myself to get through it. In March, Pat Morrison and I went to dinner, professional at first, discussing a difficult case at the VA. Then it became more, coffee after work, walks around the neighborhood. She understood deployment scars. Her husband had been Army KIA in Afghanistan, 2012. She got it. By May we were dating, nothing dramatic, just companionship. Someone who understood nightmares and triggers and the weight of service. In June, I adopted a service dog. German Shepherd named Valor, 80 pounds of loyalty and training. He slept next to my bed, woke me from nightmares, applied pressure when I had panic attacks, made life navigable again. I sold the house in July. Too many memories, too much Hannah in the walls. Bought a smaller place near Peterson Space Force Base, closer to Rachel. 2 bedrooms, fenced yard for Valor, fresh start. Rachel came over every Sunday. We'd cook dinner together. She taught me about flight dynamics, her passion. I taught her about woodworking, mine. We didn't talk about Hannah much. She'd cut contact with her mother, made her choice. One Sunday in September, Rachel said, "I met someone." "Yeah, Jordan's brother." "You remember Jordan, my college roommate? The one who helped with your commissioning prep?" "Yeah, her brother's a pilot too, F-16s, based at Nellis. Good guy, honorable." "You telling me? Or asking permission?" She smiled. "Telling you, but I wanted you to meet him first." "I'd like that." Trevor asked if I wanted to know more about Hannah and Rick. I said no. That chapter was closed. I had a new one starting, and it was enough. David and Rachel redefined what family means. Not who you're born to, but who shows up when everything falls apart, who salutes you when you're broken, who stays. If you've built your own chosen family, whether it's battle buddies, friends who became brothers, people who prove blood doesn't make family, tell me about them in the comments. And if this story moved you, if David's fight meant something, subscribe. I tell stories about courage, resilience, and people who refuse to stay broken. I'll see you in the next one. 1 year later, October 2026, Rachel's commissioning ceremony. She'd completed pilot training, 18 months of hell, but she made it. Top of her class. She was being commissioned as a full lieutenant, assigned to F-35 Squadron at Luke Air Force Base. The ceremony was at Peterson Space Force Base. October afternoon, crisp and clear. Autumn leaves falling, red and gold against blue Colorado sky. Same weather as the day everything fell apart. But I wasn't the same man. 200 people in attendance. Rachel's squadron, fellow pilots, command staff, family, friends. I wore my dress blues, first time in a year. Rachel insisted, said she wanted us matching. I'd lost 40 pounds, healthy weight loss from running with valor and eating right and not carrying the weight of a dead marriage. The uniform fit better than it had in a decade. Pat came with me, sat in the front row, held my hand during the national anthem. Colonel Torres was there. He'd stayed in touch, checked on me every month. That's what good leaders do. Trevor and his wife, Dr. Klein, the VA crew, 8 guys from my peer counseling group. They showed up in force, wore their service medals, honored Rachel by being there. Staff Sergeant Monica Reeves, Rachel's commanding officer, presided over the ceremony. Rachel stood at attention in her dress blues, bars gleaming, ribbons perfect. She looked like her mother at that age, but she had my bearing, military precision, earned honor. The ceremony proceeded, oath of office, commissioning remarks. Then came the keynote speech. Me. I walked to the podium, 200 faces looking at me. I pulled out my notes, changed my mind, folded them, put them away. I'm Master Sergeant David Michael Cross, retired, 3 tours, Iraq and Afghanistan, Bronze Star, 28 years service. My voice carried, command voice. I'm here today as Rachel's father, but I'm also here as a witness to what honor looks like. I pulled out the deployment journal, the leather one. Beat to hell from war. This is my deployment journal from Iraq, 2006. I wrote in it every day for 14 months. Wrote about combat, about fear, about the guys in my squad, about coming home. I opened it. March 15, 2006. I wrote, I'm fighting to get home to my family. I'm fighting so my daughter grows up safe. That's the mission. That's why I survive. I closed the journal, looked at Rachel. I thought I survived for the wrong reasons. I thought I survived for people who didn't deserve my sacrifice. But I was wrong. I survived for her. I pointed at Rachel. I survived so I could teach her what I learned in war. Courage, resilience, honor, the understanding that we don't leave people we love. We leave people who don't deserve us. I paused. Let that land. A year ago, my world fell apart. Betrayal, divorce. I sat in my garage at 2 a.m. with a loaded gun and thought about quitting. Thought the war had finally won. I looked at the Bronze Star on my chest. But I made a choice to survive. Not for anyone else. For me. For Rachel. For the veterans I serve at the VA. For the mission. I picked up the Bronze Star case from the table. Walked to Rachel. Lieutenant Cross, this is my Bronze Star. I earned it in Fallujah, 2006, pulling 3 men from a burning Humvee under enemy fire. I've carried it for 18 years. It represents honor, courage, sacrifice. The refusal to quit when quitting makes sense. I opened the case. The medal sat there in blue velvet, cold and heavy and earned. You've earned this now, not in combat, in life. You stood with me when everything burned. You chose honor over easy lies. You protected your father when he couldn't protect himself. That's valor. That's what this medal means. I pinned the Bronze Star to her uniform, right above her ribbons. My hand was steady. Rachel saluted. Sharp. Perfect. I returned it. Then she broke protocol, stepped forward, whispered loud enough for the microphone to catch. You were never replaceable, Dad. You were the only one who stayed. We embraced. The crowd stood. I heard Valor bark once from the front row. Sharp. Proud. Pat was crying. Torres was saluting. I stepped back, returned to my seat. Rachel stood at attention while they finished the ceremony. The Bronze Star caught the light, looked right on her chest. After, we had a small reception. Rachel's apartment complex, outdoor pavilion. 45 people, food, drinks, celebration. I noticed something on the wall, the Welcome Home banner, the one from 2009. Hannah and 6-year-old Rachel's handprints. Welcome home, Daddy. But Rachel had added something, a new handprint below the original, adult-sized, her handprint now, and new words in careful letters, still welcoming you, home to truth. She saw me looking. I couldn't throw it away. It's part of our story, but I could make it mean something different. I like it. Pat came over, stood next to me. You did good, David. That speech, Rachel, all of it. Thanks for staying with me, that night on the phone. You saved my life. You saved your own life. I just reminded you why it was worth saving. Valor nudged my hand, wanted attention. I scratched his ears. 80 pounds of loyalty. Trevor walked over with a beer. Hell of a ceremony, man. Rachel's speech about you being irreplaceable. I lost it. You're getting soft, Marine. Damn right I am. He grinned. You taught me that. Sometimes soft is stronger than hard. Sometimes surviving is braver than fighting. The sun set. October sky turning purple and orange. Same colors as a year ago. But everything was different now. Rachel found me near the edge of the pavilion. Thank you for the Bronze Star. You earned it? So did you, 3 times over. She looked at the medal on her chest. I'm going to make you proud. You already have. We stood there, father and daughter, both in uniform, both survivors. I thought about the speech I'd given, about survival and courage and resilience. I thought about Hannah, about Rick, about the baby in Denver. I hoped they'd find peace somehow. Hoped that little girl grew up knowing love. even if it came from broken people. But mostly I thought about this. I survived war. That taught me courage. I survived betrayal. That taught me resilience. I'm still here, still standing, still saluting, because we don't leave people we love. We leave people who don't deserve us. And we discover we were never replaceable. We were just in the wrong story. I'd found the right story now. Rachel, Pat, Valor, Trevor, the VA crew, Colonel Torres, all the people who showed up when I needed them. That's family, not blood, not obligation, choice. The ceremony ended. Autumn leaves fell, just like the day this all began. But I wasn't the same man. I'd survived war. Then I survived what came after. That's what warriors do.